Welcome back to the Positive Poetry Podcast, everyone. This is episode 4. I'm Andrew. And today, we're going to talk about how it's not too late. I hope you guys had a wonderful week. Happy February 1st. It's Friday. And it's looking like we're going to have some great weather, too. Holy cow. All right. I had some interesting things take place this week, and they impacted this show. My friend had a grandmother that they never met pass away. Now, this same friend never had much contact with their mother, which changed after his grandmother passed away. So I was really inspired because there was always disconnection and not good feelings there. And it made my heart smile to hear that they had gotten in touch and this connection possibly opening up and being a good thing for everybody. Awesome news, right? It's not too late. It's never too late. Life happens on a moment-to-moment basis. And in my opinion, progress is fulfillment. And that progress towards those goals, those main goals, right? We talked about them. The rocks in our jar, right? If we've got a jar full of everything, we need the most important things, the rocks, in first. And those need time and effort and things like that. And then you put the pebbles in, then you put the sand in, and then you put the water in, or whatever liquid. Beer is my chosen. Or Captain Morgan. I like the spice rum as well. Okay, well, this podcast, I mean, the purpose of it, I guess, is for me to outlet the research that I've been doing lately and different experiences and give some nuggets of intellect and give some resources in the description while also having a poem. So don't be disappointed, but also know that this is a resource that you can come to, and reliably so. I will have scientific research on things that can help improve your life. That's what I want to be doing, and then also give you a cool original poem. Okay, that being said, I'm going to save the poem for the end. Now, I was actually doing some thinking on a few different things this week. In the past, I had mentioned on Facebook, I had made a post. It said, depression is a choice. And I want to recant that. It's not a choice. But there's a part of depression that is suffering. And that, I truly believe, is a choice. That's where I was mistaken. Some might even say this is semantics at some point, but at any rate, suffering is a choice to a degree. I lost my paper for a second. I was reading 4 causes of suffering. So in order to correct a situation, you have to be able to identify it, right? So you want to be able to identify suffering and eliminate that. That's pruning. Talk about pruning the useless use of time. So here we go. Suffering. Ego creates a feeling of inferiority where it compares ourselves to others. It gives a sense that we must always be right, and this dependency on correctness causes suffering. Wanting what we don't have, even when those things aren't good for us. Now I realize sometimes the best teacher is silence, but I'll use some personal examples. Alcohol. I definitely wanted alcohol sometimes when I did not have it, and it was not good for me. Some women in my life. Ex-girlfriends, right? Some girls, some guys, whatever, whoever's listening, they just aren't good for you, even if you want, you know what I mean? So keep that in mind. Maybe your friends are right. Okay, so, and then I put nicotine down too. I guess I was just in a substance sort of mindset there with these personal examples for wanting what we don't have. Number three. I have this one asterisked. It is the sense of rejection. Rejecting things we're unfamiliar with. So I think that's two little parts for number 3 because that seemed complex here and different. Afraid to step out of our comfort zone, and the experience once brought us pain, so now we avoid it, so this causes suffering. And then number 4 would be fear, or the feeling of doubt and uncertainty. The false evidence appearing real, right? Fear is just an acronym for false evidence appearing real. I think it's very important that we step into the fear and find out what is there, because there's this thing of appearance versus reality. I made a little note over the week. Appearance versus reality. Sometimes the fear is the biggest thing of it all. And so practicing that, creating that habit, is essential for you to be effective. From what I have found, how many times have we heard this one? But nothing worth having comes easy. So from that, you're going to have to break into some fears. You're going to have to step right into them, and like Gandalf, like none shall pass on that bridge. That giant, what is it? It was like a demon thing. It was a giant freaking horned 70-foot beast with a whip. Someone can help me out with that name, I'm sure. Anyway, you're gonna have to step into these fears and find them to be whatever they are. And building that habit ends up actually being exhilarating, extremely fun, and I'd love to talk about that with some people. Like a rock climber, I suppose, or these people that do extreme sports. I was actually speaking with a friend here that people jump out of planes in like flying squirrel suits, and just boom, just boom. Flying, man. Of course, Buzz would say we're not flying, we're falling with style. That's at the end. All right, so, oh boy, I've enjoyed doing some of this research here. I for whatever reason, I was just fascinated with the whole concept of like demons this week. And, I think they are just human fears personified. And I was looking all over for my notes on this, but in college I had rented it or checked out a book. It was all about the nature of how people, like the historical nature of how people have avoided pain in terms of like pleasing this. It was the nature of the devil, right? So from the dawn of time, people have always had it a higher priority to avoid pain than seek pleasure. They pleased this deity, this wrathful deity, to not punish them with things like natural disaster, disease, and stuff like that. And it's very interesting to me that fear is that ingrained that we've like sacrifices to the devil so he doesn't hurt you is essentially what people used to do. And I am taking that and relating it in like a fractal sense on like how am I doing that in my daily actions? Am I avoiding doing things out of pain? Am I avoiding the pain of doing something that I know that I should be doing? Right? So there is a purpose essentially to these demons and these devils. They have if you were to play poker with them, they have tells in their poker faces, if you will, or essentially they can lead you to behavioral change that is effective for your progress in your goal areas. So stepping into your fears, fist fighting your demons, right? I use vivid language here, but I mean, I mean, honestly though, okay, right? We're not hurting anybody, but it is important. I've got a friend, Jack. Jack, thank you for all you've done for me, right? This guy, hands down, just like A+ style friend, okay? He's got a tattoo. He showed me. It says, like, kill your demons before they kill you. It's somebody drawing an outline over around a demon, right? It is important that we do that, and it takes effort, and it was interesting. So at the end of this book, this devil book or whatever, right, is by Paul Karras, if you do care to check it out. It is, I'm not doing it any justice when I call it that. It was an interesting historical take on how humans have sort of personified their fears into this being. And then at the end, we came to this, many conclusions, right? But this conclusion was very interesting to me. The thing that is evil is that which inhibits progress. So if it is not producing progress, it is inhibiting progress, it is useless, it should be pruned. Okay, so I found that to be very interesting, right? So that's, told you I was intense, but it takes an intense nature to create a garden, to weed out the shit that is not going to be there to create the fruit that you need to feed your family and the vegetables. Okay. Brain space is limited, right? So one of my fears was people shaming me for not knowing what they thought I should know. And brain space is limited. I've heard a relation to like the ant and the elephant. So the elephant being your subconscious brain that handles a lot of stuff, right? There's a lot of things going on in my body that I don't have to tell it what to do right now. And you can actually take and train that. And I call it muscle memory to a certain degree, like playing guitar, right? At a certain point, you don't have to think about that anymore. Now you can concentrate on singing the correct thing. Some things that I try to work on at least. Okay, so my point being, and then the ant is the conscious mind. So that is much smaller than an elephant and can only hold so much. I like to also think of it in terms of like RAM versus hard drive space. But that hard drive also does all of the thinking, and it's in the background too. So it's not exactly the best analogy, but you can kind of go with me on it. You gotta account for the limited availability of RAM space. The ant can't handle that much. But if the ant is given repetitive things, habits, well then habits are the realm of the elephant. If you create a habit, then the ant can now free up more time, space, energy, what have you, to do other things. So the ant and the elephant. Interesting little deal there. It's not too late. It is definitely not too late. On a moment-to-moment basis. That's when life happens. So, we've got some irrational thinking that sometimes takes place on those moments. And I'm going to just take a picture of this and put it up as a PDF. You can check it out. It is a way to safeguard yourself against irrational thinking from yourself. These mostly came from within for me. But also if you're being subjected to it from others. So you can use this to make sure that things aren't irrational. And don't get me wrong, like sometimes irrational fits. We are complex beings. I'm not saying you have to be rational and logical all of the time, but these are ways for you to use to prune the useless within yourself here. So here's some. I use them. I even put an asterisk to interrupt my thoughts by speaking to myself out loud. I'll just pan down the list here real quick. You can see on there. But then also, like I say in the description, you can click this, print it out. I usually like to keep it posted where I do my thinking. If you have a space devoted to where you think about your problems and try to process through and do that kind of thing, I say print it out and post it there. Otherwise, you can just have it be electronically, on your device or whatever too. So you got the all or nothing thinking, you got overgeneralization, mental filter, disqualifying the positive, jumping to conclusions. You got 2 different flavors that they got there. Mind reading, fortune teller. Magnification, catastrophizing or minimization, kind of a thing there. Emotional reasoning, should statements, labeling or misleading, personalization, externalization, and blaming. That's some irrational thinking. I wish I took some time to do some, I guess I could, let's see here. Disqualifying the positive. Yeah, you reject the positive experiences by insisting they don't count for some reason. When I was deep in depression and deep into my alcoholic sort of bout, I would do that a lot. People would be like, well, what about, I hear that all of these problems, but what about this? And I would be like, well, that doesn't matter. That was a fluke thing. Nope. It's definitely always negative in my life. That's, you know what I mean? And that was irrational thinking, and it just allowed me, and it was a way for me to, I guess, continue to make the same decisions and not change. So that was one personal example, but I mean, check those all out. I mean, if you're, that's an interesting thing. So there's also this thing called logical fallacies. I'll just post the same link underneath there. That is for, we found that out in philosophy class. It's just used to help in debate. If you just enjoy going on Facebook, or if you just enjoy going on Reddit or 4chan or wherever you're at and like debate and just want, to, I don't know. That's the only place I can see you can actually logically or, feasibly use this piece of resource. But anyway, it's called logicalfallacies.com. Thou shalt not commit logical fallacies. Right? Okay, so anyway, you can check that out. It's a fun thing. So brain space is limited. Fill it with useful info that will then turn into habits. So I don't really care if I'm shamed for not knowing the actors in a movie or the athletes in a roster. I want to know about how the brain's working. I want to know about how I can predict my trajectory even better. I want to know about how I can shape and hone a certain skill, right? I think these are awesome things to focus on, and that's great, and not to be inhibited by fear, false evidence appearing real. Now, this same friend whose grandmother passed away told me the beautiful story about Coco, the movie Coco. Have you heard of Coco? He just told me the story, and I was in tears, people. And okay, so I might be a little bit sensitive, but I pride myself on being pretty damn masculine. I couldn't handle that. Was just a writer's and a songwriter's dream of a storyline. So check out Coco. Very worth your time. I was just, that was awesome. Okay, so wow. Okay, another little key point here is with my friend's mother getting back in touch with him after having been so long, like over 20 years long, right? Over a lot of that, over more than that even. So it was interesting, and I did take a quick moment to relate on how that was possible for him, because his mother didn't make... Killing yourself is permanent. My father cannot do that. After no amount of time will that happen for me, kind of a thing. And I'm not trying to make it about me, but I was just intrigued by the nature of decision. And so if you're in a bad place, it's a permanent decision that affects everybody else around you. I think it's very important that if you're in a place of suffering, you do what you can, but one of the things that you can do is reach out to other people too. So do that if you need to, okay? It's never too late. Just so long as you stick around to see the sunshine. Nobody ever went broke betting that the sun will always shine. Okay? All right, so sending peace, love, and wonderful things your way. I'm hoping that you guys and gals had a wonderful week. We're looking brightly into the weekend. Hallelujah for the great weather outside, right? It is not in the negatives. Woo! All right. You guys have a great Friday. I'm hoping to have another guest on in the weekend. We'll see how it happens. Stay tuned. Start again. Build a skill. What you waiting for? No pain, no gain. No pain, no gain. Now, would you like some more? Everything worth having has its own price to pay. You know this. I know this. Now let's go seize the day.